Welcome back, our dear students. Now we will turn to the next part, or the second part from our chapter 5, measuring unemployment. In the first part of this chapter, we talked about how to measure unemployment rate, and we differentiated between three main labor market indicators, which are unemployment rate, employment to population ratio, and labor force participation rate. Now let's turn to our next point. What are the different types of unemployment? We have three main types of unemployment. What are the three types? Frictional unemployment, structural unemployment, and cyclical unemployment. So let's start with frictional unemployment. Frictional unemployment. What do we mean by frictional unemployment? Every day in any economy, we see some people leaving their jobs and then trying to find another jobs. So there is some time duration. There is a time duration between leaving a job and entering a new one. During this time duration, the person will be called frictionally unemployed. So frictional unemployment results from what? Frictional unemployment results from leaving a job to enter a new one. Thus, frictional unemployment is the unemployment that arises in the duration between leaving an existing job and entering a new one. It results from normal labor market turnover. So it's normal in any economy every day to have some people leaving a job to enter a new one. So frictional unemployment is considered normal unemployment. Now, example for frictional unemployment. Number one, someone who left his job to find a higher payment one, to find another job with a higher wage. Number two, someone who left his job to find another job that is closer to her or his home. Now let's turn to our next type of unemployment, which is structural unemployment. From its name we can see that structural unemployment is related to the structure of the economy. We mean by the structure of the economy how the GDP in the economy is structured, how the GDP in the economy is composed from some industry, some agriculture, and some service production. So here is structural unemployment. It's related to the economic structure. What is structural unemployment? It is the unemployment that arises from changes in the skills required to perform the job. Why? Due to one of two reasons. Number one, technological change. Number two, foreign competition. So, now we are living in the fourth industrial revolution. We are living in the age of artificial intelligence. Nowadays, we are expecting robots to replace people in the factories. Nowadays, we are expecting so many jobs to disappear and some new jobs to appear. Why? Because technology is replacing workers. Technology is replacing human beings. So one of the main reasons behind structural unemployment is technological change. Now, what about the other reason, which is foreign competition? Nowadays, if we look to the trade war between China and the United States, you will observe that United States started to raise tariffs at Chinese imports, and then China have done the same. That is, both of them are trying to protect their local industries against foreign imports from the other country. Why? To protect their domestic workers. So we have two main sources of employment. Number one, technological changes. Number two, foreign competition. Examples for structural unemployment. Number one, someone who is replaced by a robot. Number two, someone who left his job due to increased imports. Now we will move to the third type of unemployment, which is cyclical unemployment. Yes, from its name it appears that cyclical unemployment is related to the business cycle in any economy. What do we mean by the business cycle? We mean by the business cycle that economic activity is not flowing smoothly over time, over years. Economic activity in any country is fluctuating over time. Sometimes production increases, other times production decreases. So cyclical unemployment is the unemployment that results from business cycles. Business cycles, as we noticed before, are the fluctuations in real GDP and main macroeconomic indicators, such as employment, price level, interest, over time. Such fluctuations include upward and downward movements. So here we have waves of production. Sometimes production is upward moving and increasing, other times production is downward moving and decreasing, as shown by the figure. Here we have the business cycle. As you see from this figure, the business cycle shows fluctuations in real GDP, upward and downward. Sometimes real GDP is increasing, as you see, other times real GDP is falling. Real GDP falls and even becomes below its potential GDP. So what do we mean by potential GDP? We mean by potential GDP the maximum production in an economy, the maximum level of production when the economy is reaching its maximum capacity, when the economy is using its resources to its maximum capacity. So as you see in this figure, the decline in real GDP, the fall in real GDP ends with a turning point called trough, which is the bottom here in this figure. And then rise in real GDP ends with a peak. Here we have the peak, which is the top of this figure. So in any business cycle we have two stages, which are recession. We mean by recession the fall in economic activity, the fall in real GDP. And stage is expansion. We mean by expansion the rise, the increase in real GDP. And we have also two turning points, which are trough, the ending point of a recession, and a peak, which is the ending point of an expansion. So any business cycle has two phases or stages and two turning points. The two phases are expansion, which is the period of the rise in real GDP and economic activity. Recession, which is the period of the fall in real GDP and economic activity. Meanwhile, the business cycle has two turning points, which are peak, which is the ending point for an expansion, the top of an expansion. Trough, which is the ending point of a recession, that is the bottom for a recession. The bottom for a recession. So cyclical unemployment rises during periods of recession before starting to fall in times of expansion. Yes, why? Because in times of recession the real GDP falls, so unemployment increases, and vice versa. In times of expansion real GDP rises, so unemployment falls. But since frictional and structural unemployment are normal in all economies, they represent together what we call the natural unemployment rate in any economy. So we can conclude that in any economy there must be an unemployment rate. Some unemployment will exist in any economy. We cannot say that any economy will achieve zero unemployment. Why? Because in any economy there will be some natural unemployment, some normal unemployment, either in the form of frictional unemployment or in the form of structural unemployment. Thanks so much.